Molasses is often sold as the healthier sugar, more natural, more nutritious, a better choice than white sugar. But is that actually true, or just a story we've gotten used to believing? In this video, we're going to open that claim in the simplest way possible. Not with arguments, not with buzzwords. We'll follow molasses back to where it's made, inside the sugar factory. We'll watch the exact moment sugar is extracted and see what molasses really is, what's removed, and what's left behind. Then we'll track how the healthy sugar idea started, why it sounds convincing, and where the misunderstanding quietly slips in. By the end, you'll know exactly what molasses is and what it isn't. Molasses is born when sugar is removed. Here's the thing about molasses. It doesn't exist on its own. Molasses is born at the exact moment sugar is pulled out. So the real question isn't, what is molasses made from? The real question is, what had to happen for molasses to be left behind? Is molasses just a leftover, a byproduct, an afterthought? Or is it more like sugar's twin, made in the same place, from the same juice, but shaped into a completely different fate? To answer that, we need to watch the process where refined sugar is made, because that's the moment molasses appears. And once you see that separation happen, molasses suddenly makes sense. White sugar, sweetness made simple. The goal of the process is not molasses. The goal is white sugar. Table sugar is a refined crystal made from sucrose, designed to behave in a very specific way. Its sweetness is clean and direct, without bitterness, aroma, or lingering flavor. That simplicity is not accidental. It's the result of separation. In a factory, sugar has value because it is stable and predictable. It looks the same, tastes the same, and reacts consistently when heated or baked. To achieve that consistency, the process keeps removing anything that could interfere with pure sweetness. Minerals, plant compounds, and complex flavors are filtered out until what remains can crystallize into uniform white grains. So white sugar is not just sweet. It is sweetness deliberately simplified. And once you see that as the factory's objective, it becomes clear why something darker, thicker, and more complex cannot remain part of the final product. That something else is where molasses begins. What molasses really is. That brings us to the part the factory removes, and the part people later discover and name. Molasses is the thick syrup left behind after sugar crystals are pulled out of boiled cane or beet juice. It isn't a different ingredient made somewhere else. It's the same original liquid after the refined sugar has been extracted from it. And that one fact explains almost everything people notice about molasses. When most of the pure sucrose is removed, what remains is no longer clean sweetness. It becomes a concentrated mixture of different sugars, minerals, organic compounds, and traces of the plant itself. That's why molasses tastes both sweet and bitter at the same time, and why it carries flavors that white sugar never could. Caramel, smoke, earthiness, sometimes even a faint metallic edge. This is also why molasses behaves differently in cooking. It doesn't just sweeten. It adds color, moisture, and depth because it still contains the parts that refined sugar was designed to leave behind. So the simplest way to think about it is this. White sugar is sweetness that has been purified into crystals, and molasses is what's left when that purification is done. Now, to really see that for yourself, we need to go inside the process, step by step, right to the moment the crystals separate from the syrup. Inside the factory, How molasses is made. Step 1. Harvest and crush, getting the juice. Everything starts with the plant. Sugarcane is harvested and brought to the mill, where the stalks are crushed to squeeze out the juice. The liquid that comes out is naturally sweet, but it isn't clean or clear yet. It's still carrying fibers, plant bits, and natural impurities from the cane. Step 2. Clarify, cleaning the juice. Before the factory can separate sugar, it has to calm the liquid down. The juice is filtered and treated so those suspended impurities can be removed. The goal here is simple. Make the juice clean enough for sugar crystals to form properly later, instead of being blocked or distorted by leftover plant material. Step 3. Boil and concentrate, thickening the sweet liquid. Next, the clarified juice is heated. Water evaporates, and the liquid becomes thicker and more concentrated. This is where the factory begins pushing the juice toward a tipping point, because sugar doesn't crystallize in a thin, watery solution. It crystallizes when the concentration becomes high enough. Step 4. Crystallize, when sugar turns solid. As the liquid reaches that concentrated state, sugar begins to form crystals. This is the moment white sugar starts to become visible. It's not a flavor decision, it's physics. Under the right conditions, the sucrose in the liquid stops behaving like a dissolved sweetener and starts becoming solid grains. Step 5. Separate the crystals, where molasses appears. Now comes the separation. The factory removes those sugar crystals from the thick syrup, and what's left behind, after the crystals are pulled out, is molasses. This is the key point that clears up the entire mystery. Molasses is not something the factory creates as its main product. The factory is trying to extract refined sugar. Molasses exists because sugar has been taken out. So if you want to understand molasses, don't picture it as a recipe. Picture it as a moment. The moment sweetness is separated into two paths. One becomes clean white crystals, and the other becomes the dark syrup that remains. Light, dark, blackstrap. Same process, different passes. Once you see how molasses appears, the next question is straightforward. Why doesn't all molasses look or taste the same? The answer isn't different recipes, it's repetition. After the first separation, the process can continue. The remaining syrup is boiled again, concentrated again, and more sugar is removed. Each time that happens, the syrup changes. Light molasses comes from the first pass. It's lighter, thinner, and still fairly sweet, which is why it's commonly used in baking. If the syrup is processed again, it becomes dark molasses, thicker, less sweet, and deeper in flavor. This is the version found in gingerbread, barbecue sauces, and dishes where sweetness needs more weight. A third pass produces blackstrap molasses. By this point, most removable sugar is gone. What remains is very dark, very thick, and noticeably bitter. So these aren't different products made different ways. They're the same liquid, pushed further through the same process. Each step removes more sugar, and each step leaves more behind. Brown sugar isn't molasses. At this point, there's one last confusion that's worth clearing up, because it trips up almost everyone. Brown sugar is not molasses. Brown sugar usually starts as white sugar. After it's already been refined and crystallized, a small amount of molasses is added back in. That's why brown sugar looks darker. That's why it has a mild caramel note. But at its core, it's still sugar first, molasses second. Molasses, on the other hand, is never added back. It's what remains when sugar is taken out. So while brown sugar wears the color of molasses, it doesn't carry the same complexity, depth, or history. Once you see that difference, it becomes easier to understand how molasses earned its reputation, and why that reputation can be misleading. Why molasses isn't healthy sugar. This is the point where the idea of healthy sugar finally needs to be unpacked. Molasses is often described as better for you because it still contains minerals. That part is true. Compared to white sugar, molasses, especially darker types, does retain small amounts of iron, calcium, and other minerals. But here's what often gets lost in that comparison. Molasses is still sugar. It may be less refined, but it is not less sweet in function. It still contains a mix of sucrose, glucose, and fructose, the same basic sugars found in other sweeteners. And while its glycemic response can be slightly lower than white sugar, it's not low. It behaves much closer to honey than to something neutral or harmless. So the idea that molasses is a healthy sugar doesn't come from what it does in the body. It comes from how it looks, and what it still contains after refining. Molasses feels healthier because it wasn't simplified all the way down. It keeps its color, its bitterness, its complexity. But complexity is not the same thing as health. Molasses isn't misleading. The misunderstanding comes from assuming that less refined automatically means better. In reality, molasses is neither a superfood nor a mistake. It's simply sugar that never finished becoming simple. The real difference: process, flavor, purpose. So if molasses isn't healthy sugar and white sugar isn't simply the opposite, where does the real difference actually sit? It comes down to three things: the process, the flavor, and the way they're used. First, the process. White sugar is what the factory is trying to isolate. It's extracted, refined, and crystallized until almost everything else is removed. Molasses is what remains after that separation is complete. Second, the flavor. White sugar is designed to be neutral, pure sweetness with no bitterness and no personality. Molasses carries what sugar leaves behind, which is why it tastes deeper, darker, and more complex. And finally, the role they play. White sugar's job is to sweeten. Molasses does more than that. It adds color, moisture, and character, not because it's better, but because it's different. When you look at it this way, the question stops being, which one is healthier, and becomes, which one is doing the job you actually want? Why it matters: choosing your kind of sweetness. This difference matters because it changes how we think about sweetness. Before refined white sugar became cheap and common, molasses wasn't a substitute. It was simply what people used. It stored well, traveled well, and added more than just sweetness to food. That's why molasses became part of so many traditional recipes, not because it was healthier, but because it added color, moisture, and depth when food needed to do more with less. As white sugar became easier to produce and control, sweetness was simplified, cleaner, more predictable. Molasses didn't disappear, its role shifted. From everyday to occasional. From necessity to choice. So today, the question isn't really about health. It's about what kind of sweetness we want: pure and neutral, or dark, layered, and expressive. And that choice says less about nutrition and more about intention. So molasses isn't healthy sugar, but it was never trying to be. It's not a replacement for white sugar, and it's not a mistake of the refining process either. Molasses exists because sugar was simplified, because something had to be taken away for sweetness to become clean, stable, and predictable. What remained carried the color, the bitterness, and the complexity that refinement was designed to remove. That doesn't make molasses better. It makes it different. White sugar gives you sweetness without a voice. Molasses gives you sweetness with a past. And once you understand how it's made, you stop asking whether molasses is healthy and start using it for what it actually is. Not a myth, not a miracle. Just one small reminder that even the simplest things often have more than one story. Our team uses publicly available online sources and AI-assisted research tools to create this video. We strive for accuracy, but errors or omissions may still occur. So please view this content for entertainment purposes only, and use your own judgment when considering any information presented. Nothing here is intended as professional, legal, medical, financial, or safety advice, nor as encouragement for risky or illegal actions. We do not promote hate, harassment, violence, or misleading information. And we work to comply with YouTube's community guidelines, terms of service, copyright and fair use rules, and all applicable laws. If you believe any part of this video infringes your rights or violates YouTube policy, please contact us.